Welcome to Young and Finch, the podcast created by Korean millennials. Welcome back to episode 22 of the Young and Finch podcast. Today we are going to be touching on some of the life lessons, mistakes, things we regret, maybe we don't. But we just want to talk about some of the things that we learned during our 20s. Disclaimer, we are not leaving our 20s. We're still in our 20s. But, just wanted to reflect a little bit and see what's good. What's up, guys?
Sup, dude? We back.
Another one.
What the?
I feel like this topic is somewhat, it could go either way.
Could be heavy.
Yeah, it could be heavy. So
Could be. I like to think that all of us, we like to live life without regrets, right? But sometimes you do things, you learn things, and maybe you want to do things differently, or you just nice lessons learned and things like that. You know.
Yeah, I try to live my life like that guy. No regrets.
What is this
From that
boomer meme?
From dirty. That was like literally 6 years ago.
I'm down.
Maybe
I
more.
know, bro. We were still in our 20s back then, fam.
And we're still in our 20s now.
we're like on our last leg. Sorry,
What the mid 20s?
I don't know about that.
mid 20s, but
On the high end of mid 20s.
we're passed the horizon, you know.
What the?
Really? I think I'm still on my way to Horizon. Sorry.
Oh.
How about Verizon?
To be honest, I thought about this topic, but
Yeah.
it's hard to figure out one because we're still in our 20s and we're still trying to figure shit out, you know? Like, what do we know?
That's true, but I think we could touch upon topics or any realizations we had so far.
Yeah. And the way I think life works is like from our early 20s to now, we've learned things. And in 5 years from now, we'll look back and be like, that, mid 20-year-old Josh and Andrew, like, he didn't know shit. Like, now I know
True.
what's good. You know what I mean? We're just constantly learning and constantly
Yes, sir.
regretting things.
It's all about putting one foot in front of the other.
Whoa.
Oh.
And on that note, let's just get right into it. Andrew, you want to start us off?
Sure. So I would identify myself as someone that has a short temper. Not short temper, sorry. Impatient. I think I'm very impatient in terms of things that I would want. So it's kind of growing up, maybe up until graduation from university. If I didn't really get any type of results that I wanted, I would have like mood swings here and there. And mood swings, I mean just like be like super depressed or be like super happy or whatnot. I guess that is mood swings. Anyways, but yeah, no. After starting my full-time job and kind of going through life cycles where the whole quote-unquote adult stages, I've realized that it's good to be like patient and just kind of take a step back when something heated comes and approaches you. Like for instance, a while back, maybe when I was a student and my parents did something that I didn't agree with or that made me kind of frustrated, I would kind of call them out right away. But I think nowadays, especially as we're kind of getting older, I'm kind of realizing that retaliating in that sense doesn't solve anything.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an example, actually. Here's a really good example. So my dog got really sick over this past week because we had a family gathering on Sunday. And usually, like, my mom is the one that feeds her human food the most.
Yeah.
But like on that day, I think everyone else kind of gave my dog a little here and there, but I think that added up, and she got really sick, and her like pancreas got fucked pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning of her symptoms, when she was having a very loose stool and whatnot, all I thought about was why did like I'm sure my mom was the one that fed her a lot, and I constantly told her not to feed her human food because she's getting older,
Yeah.
and my focus was on her, and I really wanted to just call her out and be like, "Mom, like, why did you feed her that? Like, what did you feed her, and how much did you feed her?" Like, kind of accusing her.
Like, why'd you do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, like, why'd you do it thing?
Yeah.
But I stopped at that moment, and I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then I'm so glad I didn't say anything at that point because, first of all, I know, like, everyone's probably aware that everyone loves the dog. She's a family dog, so everyone loves her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not their intentions to make her sick.
Yeah.
And at that moment in time, if I snapped, I would have probably, like, that wasn't in my head at that moment if I would have snapped. But I realized it maybe like a day or two afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I also realized, like, if I had snapped in that moment, I wouldn't have, like, it wouldn't have solved anything, essentially.
Yeah.
And it would have just made it worse. And, like, I had other instances like these that I really wanted to just snap and blame and just point the finger at someone to make me feel better. But
Mm-hmm.
at that moment, I'm trying to train myself to stop and then take a break or just, like, kind of step away from the issue.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So that's one thing that I've learned, and I'm trying to kind of keep going at it.
아, 이 새끼 다 컸네 이제. Sorry.
이게 바로 애들투디야. Sorry.
There's a quote. It's like, when you criticize someone, you only win the battle, but you lost the war.
Oh, so I won the war, eh? I'm down.
You won
No,
the
you
battle.
lost. You lost the war. You won the battle.
Dirty slow
Oh, if I snapped, if I would have
Yeah.
snapped.
Yeah,
No, but I didn't, so I won the war. Sorry.
exactly.
Yeah. I know what you mean though. Like that feeling. I've had instances with my dog too and my parents where it's not the same situation but similar thing where I'm just like, don't do that, or you know what I mean? It's like it might not be something specific, but it's just like, but like, why are you doing that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's tough, especially with family.
It's like,
Yeah.
one thing I realized, like, about my parents is, like, I think we all experience that to a certain degree, but, like, as I get older, I start to realize that, like, your parents, like, you might think that you're getting smarter and more wiser, but they're actually probably on the decline, you know? Things are a lot slower. They pick up a lot of things slower, and, you know, like they're more emotional, more sensitive, and
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes, like, you have way too much, like, expectations of them, I think. But you know, like, their brain is slowing down. It's not as sharp as we used to be. They probably were the same, you know,
Right.
where we were in their 20s, but and you know, as they get older, a lot of those things slow down. So I think just remembering that definitely helped me out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, like, we are growing up, and I feel like that, and we touched upon this in our previous episodes of, like, what it means to be a man. But this week was really tough for me personally, and I think, like, I had moments where I thought about that episode, and I was like, to be a man, I feel like you have to kind of have the strength to withhold pressure and emotional, I guess, situations.
Like, don't just
And-
lash out.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
be the kind of like the bedrock of
Yeah.
everything kind of thing. And
Yeah. Especially because you're the guy in your family, right?
that too. And I think it's really tough. That aspect is tough too, but, you know, again, like, so cliche, but it's just life kind of thing.
It's
Yeah.
the circle of life.
And
Yep.
it's like in a situation like that, especially when it's like someone in your family, you know, I consider dogs to be part of families and stuff. So it's like, if someone in your family is sick and they're, you know, going through shit, like, that's a high intensive and emotional situation. So like, I don't think snapping or losing your temper or, you know, being, you know, susceptible to your emotional, like, impulses, I don't think that makes you less of a man. You know what I mean? Like, situations like that are tough for anybody. So like obviously it's better to
Yeah.
keep your cool and to keep your composure, but if you snapped, you know, obviously you didn't mean to hurt
Mhm.
anybody or anything. So like, you know, I think we're only human at the end of the day, right?
I think it's more of a man if you own up to it and actually apologize and, you know, discover that person's feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. That actually segues nicely because one of the things that I wanted to talk about was exactly that, you know, the same thing that we were just saying. Like one of the things that I realized were that my parents are just people. So like to what Brian said, you know, maybe we keep our parents to too high of a standard. But at the end of the day, and I think kind of realizing, you know, in my 20s, realizing some of my parents' flaws, you know, they have flaws. No one's perfect, right? But realizing some of their flaws and shortcomings, you're able to see them as people. And the one thing that I thought it was kind of like a revolutionary moment for me internally was like when you realize they're people, aside from the fact that they're your parents, like how much do you really know about them? You know, what their favorite thing was growing up, what kind of relationships they had during high school, things like that. You know, I realized that I don't really know too much about my parents and what kind of people they were and are, right? I only know them as parents. So one thing that I did recently was I actually cut my dad's hair. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. So every time I go home to visit, I'll bring out the, you know, the wall razor and give my dad a nice trim. But during these like haircut sessions, he'll like start telling me about things that he, you know, just in life and stuff like that, stuff that's going on. And I use those as kind of opportunities to ask him about, you know, what was this like growing up for you? And like, what was that like for you? And it's been a good way to really kind of get to know my dad, not as my dad, but almost as like a friend, you know?
Like dads don't usually talk about themselves a lot,
Yeah.
but it's definitely
Especially
nice.
Korean dads.
Yeah, Korean dads.
Yeah.
But then when they do open up, it's like, oh, like I didn't know about that about you. Like that's actually pretty interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like one time I came home and this was like just after I broke up with one of my exes, and I was pretty beaten up about it. And my dad's like, oh, like, you okay and stuff? I was like, yeah. And this is when I was cutting his hair. And then out of nowhere, he's like, I had an ex once. I'm like, what? What the fuck?
What the? I'm down.
And yeah, he just kept it real. And he's like, you know, I know what you're going through and stuff. And obviously at that point, I'm like, no, you don't. You know, like I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
Shit. But like, you know, it's nice to kind of have that conversation with your dad.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian?
I think one of the biggest things I learned is learning to say no.
Oh, that's a good one.
Prioritizing yourself.
Yep.
I think this struck me the most when I, you know, got into the workforce. And you know, when you start in the beginning, you're all naive, you're all excited to work. You know, you all want to put your best foot forward and things like that, right? And then you got like the senior, you know, people that's been working for a long time. Like they know they're a little bit more jaded and they know how to get around with things. And you know, you learn a lot. They put a lot of things on your shoulders, and you know, when you first start, you always want to make a good impression, so you always say yes, and you know, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then you don't really think about how that's like affecting your mind and your body and things like that. Same goes to like your bosses and like anyone, you know. I don't know. I think I don't blame my parents for it, but like my parents always taught me to like try to be like selfless and try to give to other people and try to be like that fundamental like value. You know what I mean? But I think they never taught me how to say no and stand up for myself. So I think growing up, I think there was a big confusion, like in terms of those things. And that really like, you know, took a toll on my body and like physically and mentally. So now that I'm, you know, I've been working for a few years, you know, like I'm actually getting a kick out of it. Like the first time I said no to somebody, I was like shitting my pants, you know, like all these things are like, you know, happening in my head. And and get all nervous and tense. But then, after you say it once, it's like a liberating feeling.
So then you're just like, no, and Brian, hey, can you? No.
Yeah, it's no, I don't say it like that, but like I say it in a nice way, but still like rejecting their offer. You know what I mean?
They're like, hey, Brian, can you
Yeah.
help me with this CT scan? You're like, hey, no.
Yeah.
It's like, hey Brian, can you do this? Let me think about it.
How about no?
No, even like, just straight up, I'll be like, nah, I can't do it. Like, no,
Nah.
like sorry, I can't take it. And then,
Yeah.
like, if they ask, like, that's on them. Like, they don't need to. Like, I don't need to give reasons why I say no when people ask. Like,
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that's true.
like obviously I don't say no all the time, but still, you have to know that balance, of like
Definitely.
doing things for people and then also prioritizing yourself.
Honestly, I think it's harder to say no to friends, arguably.
Really? I think it's easy to
I
say
think
no.
so. I think it's easier to say no to coworkers.
I think it's
But
harder
friends?
to say
I think
no to
it's-
coworkers.
Yeah, I think it's
Explain
easier to say
yourself.
friends.
Explain your
Yeah.
case.
Oh, friends? Because, I don't know, I get FOMO easily.
Okay.
But work-wise, I don't really give a shit.
True.
Because, I don't know, maybe it's the industry I'm into as well.
Maybe. But I
Maybe.
think for work you kind of want to save face. So you want to be respectful. You have your guard
Oh,
up,
no, no.
so you'll say like, "Oh,
I'm gonna
But-
be
I know,
respectful.
but I'm saying like that's why I think it's harder to say no because like
True.
you don't want to be like shutting people down. Like, hey, like, hey, Andrew, do you want to join this Zoom call for like this nice social thing? It's like, nah. You know what I mean? It's like 20 minutes long, whatever. But
Yeah.
then with friends, it's like you keep. I don't know. Like for me, I think it's important to keep it real. So if someone's like, yo, Josh, like you want to do? I'm like, nah, bro. Like not not today.
True.
I'm not about that.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
I don't know, because the thing is with work, if you are invited to something and it's optional, and you say I'll think about it or something along the lines of that, everyone knows what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And they won't question it. But with friends, if you say no, it's like, yo, bro, come on, like it's Friday night, and then like they kind of give you peer pressure,
I
right?
can see both sides. I can see.
Yeah.
both
No,
points.
definitely. I
Yeah.
can see both sides too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I see your point as well too.
Yeah.
But
Like for me personally, I try to keep it 100 no matter what. Like at work, my colleague would be like, "Hey, Josh, I was thinking we should have like a team like a team game thing." I'm like, "Is it gonna be within work hours?" She's like, "No." Then I'm like, "I'm not joining." Like
yeah,
there's
but
no way.
that I feel like that's not saving face.
But I don't like.
retrospect.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it depends on who you are too, right? Like I want to keep it
That's true.
real in work and as well as with friends and stuff. So
But you can't always save face too, right?
like man on man, yeah, I don't want to be like.
You have to. That's what I mean. You have to know like when to say yes and when
You have
say
to know
no.
yourself, running through the
I mean,
six with my woes.
You just gotta be honest. You gotta be honest with
I
yourself.
have complete confidence that us three do like say no appropriately and say yes appropriately. So I'll leave it at that.
Definitely.
All right.
And one more thing. Wait, speak to that. Like learning to say no, because I guess this segues into another thing. It's like you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that was a big reason why I was saying yes to all the time, because I wanted to be liked by a lot of people, but I wanted to be like,
Yep.
but nowadays it's like, if you don't like me, then okay, whatever. Like, let's just be civil and just work together.
Ooh. 차도남.
Sorry.
And I mean, learn to say no will actually pay dividends too, because like it allowed me to get a higher salary. I was able to negotiate. When someone offered something and then I say yes the first time, that probably wouldn't have gotten that raise, right?
Okay, but that's like naivety. Like that's like just being not experienced. You know what I mean?
That's true. I can see that too.
그거는 if you're not negotiating.
But even
and
if you're,
it's a-
even if you're experienced, like if you can't say no, then you might have accepted it.
I think there are better. I think
that's
there are
true.
better applications to this
But-
saying no.
Anyways, yeah, you guys know what I mean.
I
I got what you mean. Yeah, I got what you mean.
It's like what they say, right? It's like if you're liked by everybody, then like, what do they say? It's something like that. It's like
Bro, there's a whole freaking movie about this. Say, Yes Man with Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah,
He says yes to everyone. He gets fucked up.
it's
at the
fucked in
end.
the end. Yeah,
And he says no, and he's like, I can say no. Sorry.
That's me, bro. That's a movie about my life.
I'm down.
Dirty Brian Carey,
I was
bro.
like, I can say no.
And then he had a fucking whole revelation
Yeah.
because of that. So jokes.
So
That was
dirty.
an interesting movie.
I'm like fucking Bugs Bunny.
not
That meme. It's like,
stupid.
no.
Not one of his best though.
All right. Anyways.
Anyways. Yeah, so how about you, Josh?
Yeah, so I think when I was on the cusp of my 20s, like entering my 20s, I kind of, it sounds stupid, but I was very like, what kind of person do I want to become? Stuff like that. Like I had a lot of thoughts like that and try to like realize my future and to think about what kind of person I wanted to be. And
That's good.
one of like my mantras that I adopted around that time was I want to experience everything I want to experience. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want to say no. Like if I want to try something, I'll just do it. And if I regret it, I'll regret it. But at least I can say I did it, kind of thing.
Mm.
And I think that mantra has been great in a lot of ways, but it's also been maybe not so great in some ways. So to explain a little bit further, like, you know, it was more so for social things, I think, when I was thinking about that, especially when you're in your young 20s, all you really think about is meeting people, having fun, and, you know, like kind of like fucking around and shit, right? So like that was good for like partying, meeting new people and stuff like that. But that also led me to try things that, you know, maybe I'm in retrospect, I'm kind of like, I could have done without. One being smoking, you know, like I've always kind of been attracted to smoking. And even now, I like it a lot. And I was never addicted. But that kind of mantra of like, just experience everything that I want to, kind of didn't make me draw hard lines for things like that. And in retrospect, could I have done without smoking? I think everyone can do without smoking. You know what I mean? Same with maybe experimenting with some drugs, you know, not that I've done something crazy, but, you know, I think trying some things out is good. But, you know, are there situations where if one thing went bad, shit could have gone extremely wrong? Yeah, you know, and things like that. It's kind of like, it's not worth it looking back, you know? It's like,
You know? Sorry.
you know?
Hey man, at least you didn't turn into a junkie.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it helped that I knew myself that I didn't have like an addictive personality, but what happens if I did? What happens if I loved smoking weed or
Yeah, I think that's how they start, right? Like those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if I did know myself, what if I didn't actually, you know? It's a slippery slope at the end of the day.
You know what that
Yeah.
is? That's good parental guidance right there.
Yeah. Mama, I'm
Shout
not gonna,
out.
I can't say the last name, but mom and dad raised me good.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Josh's parents.
Hey, shout out to all the parents.
What down?
I love you, mom.
Do you guys have any short-term, long-term goals for your 20s? And I guess until your end of 20s?
Like looking forward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's a good one.
Yeah, my short goal is maxing out my TFSA.
You want to do that this year?
My short goal is turning into a millionaire.
I don't know. Maybe in the next few years, probably. I don't know. Probably not going to happen. We'll see. That's the
Maxing
goal,
out your
right?
TFSA. That's a good goal, though.
Yeah, it's a very good, definitive goal.
It's a very quantitative goal.
Yeah. No, those are good though.
That's good.
I mean,
though,
that's
yeah.
like my financial goal. That's not everything, but
That's your life goal.
I don't know, man. Right now, as of late, maybe because of COVID, all I can think about is like money, which is kind of sad.
True. I mean,
Just-
what else
no.
is there to think about?
Yeah,
Well, a lot of things.
I don't know, but you can't go out.
I want to be ripped.
What? The?
Gyms are closed and shit.
What are yours?
Well, short-term goal-wise, I want to start studying maybe in September, October.
Yeah.
That's trying to learn or like kind of practice on what I already know.
Mhm.
Kind of get my foundation stronger. And then kind of short, medium goal would be to pay off my debt to my dad.
Mm.
And then obviously long term it would be find a girl, you know what I'm saying? We're about that age now.
Find a girl. Settle down.
Yeah. Settle down, yeah. But
True.
I mean, we'll see. Doors are always open.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Get married, boys. I want to go to a wedding.
Once we start releasing that YouTube video, you never know, bro.
Yeah,
You
we'll
never
see.
know, bro.
I mean,
They might just
like
slide
I
in the
said-
DMs.
like I said, my doors are open. Sorry.
30.
Your doors are closed right now, though. Behind you. Whoops.
Doors open? What are you, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak? Sorry.
What? The?
뭐지?
How about
Bulla? You don't know the song?
1975? Sorry.
What the?
Josh, do you want to share yours?
Yeah. Mine would be actually, yeah, like kind of thinking about family a lot these days, and you know, I have nephews and stuff coming, and you know, like you mentioned, like our parents are getting old too, so I think in realizing that, you know, my parents are people and my family, like they're all people, and it's like I'm almost at like a point where I feel like I'm losing time to get to know them, you know what I mean, like even better,
Yeah.
and spend more time with them. So some of my shorter term and long term goals are to spend more time with family, even more so, you know, and just to make more memories, and to you know, kind of like reinvest my time back into that, and then you know, make it good and shit. Also, I want to travel, dude. Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
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 Big time.
It's like it kind of goes back to like that mantra where it's like I'm realizing that like if I'm not gonna make the decisions now to go somewhere and to do things, there's a good chance it might not happen, right? Because like as
Yeah.
you start exiting your 20s, entering your 30s, you get more responsibility, and once that happens, you're fairly locked down. So
Yeah.
my like back of my head goal is to go to Greece and Germany and Italy and things like that, Australia. Like if I don't do that, if I don't start actually actualizing those goals, they're not
Yeah,
gonna
dude.
happen. So
You have to
Yeah.
go, bro. You have to travel.
you just gotta do it, man.
Yeah.
Like Nike. Sorry.
Just gotta do it.
Just gotta do it.
Sponsor us, Nike. Sorry.
Sponsor us, Air Canada.
What the?
What? Air Canada? Dirty. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about you guys, but my 20s felt like it just flew by.
That's what everyone says, though.
But like also not, because university felt like it took forever.
It flew by once you start working.
Yeah. I think university flew by too for me.
Really?
Life flew by, bro. I felt like I was in grade 8 yesterday.
What the fuck?
No? Don't you feel like grade 8 yesterday?
You don't look like you're in grade 8.
What the?
I have another one.
Yeah.
It's kind of branches off into both of your points, but like the first one is like, the one thing that I realized is like, that's kind of cliche, but I
okay.
firmly believe that learning doesn't stop after you graduate from school.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you there.
I agree with
I
you
mean,
there too.
It's not cliche. It's I think
facts.
it's important. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
facts. It's
yeah.
important.
And it doesn't have to be like, you know, related to school. It could be if that's what you want, but there's just
Yeah.
so much things to learn. And
Like life wise, right?
yeah, and life wise, like to be like an all around person, there's just so many things
Mm-hmm.
to learn.
Yeah.
Like I love listening. Like I love like listening to like famous people talk. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts like Barack Obama, or like, you know, Joe Rogan will have like just interesting people, like, you know, like Elon Musk or Kanye West, Kevin Hart, like,
Yeah.
or even like that Asian politician like Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's just interesting to see like how they got to where they are, and like, you know, what they're thinking about. And I've been a huge like reader of like self-development books like
Mm-hmm.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. I read a lot about like finance books now, but back in the days I used to read a lot of like self-development books. And yeah, man, I think like your environment is just limited information, man, and I think books can help just kind of expand your perspective and just kind of, you know, because your life is your experience, right? You only learn from what you see and experience, and just like listening to other people talk and seeing and reading about stuff.
Yeah.
It just expands your mind, and I think that's been a huge anchor in who I am today, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah, what they say is knowledge is power, you know what I'm saying?
What the-
Sorry.
Knowledge is power, but too much knowledge can also be
Too much power. Sorry.
sometimes ignorance.
Is it too much power, too much responsibility? Spider-Man, let's go.
Too much power, like I'm Power Ranger. Sorry.
Ignorance is bliss, but I'd rather know more.
So you'd rather not be blissful.
Yes, exactly.
I'm down. No, I
I'm
agree
down.
100%. Actually, it's weird that as I'm getting older, I'm finding I want to read more. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird how life works like that. It's like back in high school or during my early 20s, you couldn't pay me to read. But now I'm trying to like, I'm finding I don't have enough time to read. You know what I mean?
Even if you don't like reading, like podcasts are such a fun way to podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm just saying podcasts are such a
I heard that light bulb go off.
Like ding.
like I don't know, man. Like podcasts are such a genius idea, man. It's such a good way to just play in the back, learn. Like you can do whatever you do when you're working out. You can do when you're driving. Like
Yeah.
you know.
Man, if we only had a good podcast that we could recommend to our listeners. Oops. Listen to Young and Finch podcast. Sorry.
Oops. You know the vibes.
Shameless plug.
Actually, yeah. Are there any good podcasts you guys want to plug or recommend?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't listen to other podcasts. That's not my form of knowledge.
Entertainment
or just
Yeah.
information.
That's fair.
I just read the news
Mm-hmm.
or watch YouTube that shows the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. A couple I have are just for like just like mind numbing but super entertaining. I love the Tiny Meat Gang podcast. It's by these two guys named it's by these two guys named Cody Ko and Noah Miller.
That sounds jokes
they
already.
have like this song called like Short Kings because they're like short. They're fucking jokes, dude.
Yeah.
And also like recently I found this podcast made by like half Korean
millennials. Sorry.
No. It's
Podcast made by 3 Korean millennials.
3 Korean millennials.
I was like, oh, I've heard that one.
No, there's this a
Is it
podcast
by Young and Finch? Sorry.
There's a podcast by a half Korean actually, and it's called the Halfy Project, and she interviews half Koreans and I think like half Asians and stuff, and goes about that experience and like what they're doing and stuff like that. That podcast is pretty cool. I checked that out.
Interesting.
Brian, what about you?
Well, right now I'm listening to Joe Rogan podcast, but I think it's pretty cliche. But Impact Theory by Tom Billy is pretty interesting.
I don't know that.
It's like talks about like how your mind operates and things like that.
What does he do? Like, is he like a professional in his field, or
He's the CEO of the Quest bars, like the protein bars.
protein?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And he's like a life like entrepreneur now. He just kind of invites guests and talks about like how your mind operates, like what to do when you're stressed out, and it's interesting. And
Yeah, sounds interesting.
also a couple other ones are like The Art of Charm. This one talks about like like your etiquette, like your physical etiquette, and there's a lot of they're both like self-development podcasts.
Yeah.
And House of I'm sorry, no. School of Greatness by Lewis House is pretty
Oh,
interesting.
I heard
too.
about that one.
Yeah, that one's
I heard
pretty
that
good.
was really good.
Yeah, those 4 are probably the ones that I listened to in my lifetime.
But the best one out of all of them, is the Young and Finch podcast.
Yes, I heard.
Straight facts. Straight facts right there. Sorry.
I mean, I want to become like School of Greatness or
School of Rock.
Impact 3 for like Asian communities, man. That
Yeah.
was one of the things that I was hoping for when I started this podcast. So,
Yeah,
I'm down.
definitely.
and also actually branching off from Josh's last point, one more thing. Sorry, I think it's really hard to make genuine connection with people. Like it's harder than it actually than it seems. Apart from like your family, like the people that you fully trust, like fully backing you up, like unconditional love. Like I find that that's probably harder as you get older too, but
Definitely.
it's really a rare thing.
Yeah. You know, they say that the people that you meet and the friends that you make during your 20s are like the ones that you're going to carry with you to the end. But yeah, honestly, I don't know. Even aside from COVID, I feel like it's much harder to meet new people, you know, like the rate at which you meet or have new interactions and new conversations and open yourself up to like new like social groups. It just goes down because you end up just hanging with the same people, right?
Nothing wrong with that though.
No, nothing wrong with that. Actually, that's better. Like keep good friends close, right?
Yeah. And I think we just stop caring and giving shits when we grow up about people we don't care about, like strangers.
Wow, that was very, very eloquent.
Like my biggest fear is like when we become like 30 and 40, like we don't have like friends to hang out with.
Bro,
What do you
we'll
mean,
have
bro?
a family.
You'll have
your
us.
family, but like still, you know.
Fuck you talking about, bro? I'm gonna see you posted up at the Five Guys with your kids and your wife, and I'll be like,
Yeah. I don't know. I want
Yeah.
like a lifetime, like, you know, like I want that rich life, you know, where you have meaningful connections with, you know, a lot of people, not just your family, but
definitely, yeah. Your community,
Yeah.
But that's
your
harder
Young
than
and Finch community.
but that's harder than it sounds. Hopefully we can get to meet some dope ass people in the future. COVID pending.
Scared. I'm down.
Yeah, maybe we just sign off with one word of advice to people who are starting their 20s now. What's one thing that you'd say?
Good question. I would say, honestly, just live life and learn through mistakes and accept failure and act upon it would be my biggest advice.
True.
It's not how you react, or it's not how you, it is how you react to failure that makes you successful. And I think there's a quote about that. Yeah, so.
Solid. I think I would say enjoy the present. I think everyone's trying to gear forward and what's next and the next big thing and the future, but enjoy the present, enjoy what you have, and live in the moment. You won't get that back.
Enjoy your fucking 20s, man. We're like on the brink of our 20s, and I'm so sad.
We're on the brink of our mid-20s.
Bro, imagine university students, like first year, they probably had this imagination of going to university and partying, but they can't. I feel worse for them.
I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure they're still partying it up.
Yeah, did you see COVID? COVID had an
can't
outbreak. I mean, not COVID. Waterloo had an outbreak of COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We could trim all this out, but yeah, Waterloo had an outbreak. It was like this one of the residences had like fucking like 50 cases or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, what about you, Brian?
If you're in your early 20s, I think as hard as it may sound, you should embrace your insecurities, and just live boldly, you know, like if you have that question, just ask. If you want to ask that girl out, just ask. I don't know. I feel like
just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just don't live life with regrets, I guess. I mean, let me try to think of that again.
Think of when you were 20.
Yeah.
And then what you were going through.
That's the thing, though. Like, even if I say this advice now, like when I was 20, I probably wouldn't have taken that advice.
No, I know.
Really? If someone told me to live free and just learn through failures, I would have been like, okay, I would have that in the back of my mind.
Yeah, and if someone told me reminded me to enjoy the present, I might be second guess, you know, wanting to finish school so quickly and enjoying my time with friends and partying and stuff, you know.
Yeah, cause like, dude, in my 20s, like fucking, I had to switch programs and I had no idea what I was gonna go through.
Yeah.
Like I was like failing classes and shit, and I didn't secure a co-op. And it was winter, fucking depressing as fuck.
Yeah.
So if I heard that, maybe I'll be like, I'll get some sort of strength to react a different way. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I would just say
positivity.
I would just say live boldly.
Positive
Don't
vibes.
worry too much about what other people think. Don't worry about what other people care. Do what you want. Do what you think. Do what is in your heart, because if you don't think of that now, man, you're eventually gonna get to that stage. So you might as well just start now and just start living your life, the way you want on an early, positive vibes. Two hands up, 2 hands to the sky,
2 hands.
I'm down.
All right, on that note, thanks for tuning in to today's episode. It's been nice to kind of reflect a little bit and also look ahead as to what's in the future.
Oh yeah, we still have lots of
ways
things.
to go.
ways to go.
We got bear time.
Facts.
If you liked the episode, don't forget to follow us on Spotify and hit that 5-star rating in Apple Podcast and iTunes Store.
Yeah, and just want to thank everyone again. I'd love to just connect with you guys, and it's been great so far.
Yeah. So follow us on our Instagram at The Young and Finch, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.
Enjoy your weeks, guys.
Peace.
Peace. All right.
How about you guys? Do you have anything to add?
No, I'm good.
I have one more. Actually, no, this is kind of cringe. I don't want to say it.
No, say it now.
Say it. And if you don't want it, I
cut
could.
it. I want to hear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have that
Dream.
motivation is what you get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going.
You're right. That is kind of cringe.
Yeah, it's kind of cringe. Yeah, I just typed it up, but
No, that sounds cliche.
yeah, that sounds too cliche. Cut it out.
Yeah.